Hey guys, hope everyone's been doing okay. So for the past couple of days, I've been seeing some people on Twitter and some content creators in the Mortal Kombat space talking about what's next for Mortal Kombat and giving their ideas on where Mortal Kombat should go. Now, there's a lot of people that have said sort of the same thing, and it's not that I disagree with them, but I wanted to give my own ideas on where I think Mortal Kombat 2 or Mortal Kombat 13 or whatever they decide to call it should go. And obviously, the comment section is open for you guys to agree or disagree. You know, I'm always happy to read your comments. So I'm going to be going over what I believe should be next for Mortal Kombat, because at this point, I think we can all agree Mortal Kombat 1 is probably done. I know the leak was, it's just a rumor at the end of the day that Combat Pack 3 is never going to come out for this game and it's going to end with the T1000. But given the way things have been going, it's probably true, but we will wait and see. Either way, the reception to Mortal Kombat 1 has been a little bit, it's not been great. We've seen some prominent content creators just recently, Wise and Brusque Poet. I just want to give a quick shout out to Brusque Poet. We've never spoken before, but I watched his whole video where he was saying that he's leaving Mortal Kombat behind and he's going off to focus on educating the youth. And I thought that was great. You know, if someone's doing something like that to help society move forward, that's great. So just a W for Brusque Poet. But he did say some stuff in that video about Mortal Kombat that I found interesting, and I've heard it from other prominent Mortal Kombat creators where they are saying that Mortal Kombat 1 just doesn't feel like Mortal Kombat. It's moved away from what they loved about the game. And you know, so many people are saying this, even people that I know that have bought the game that still play it. They're like, yeah, I'm playing it, but I'm a Mortal Kombat fan, you know, but it's not really what we grew up with. And obviously, if you look at the 3D era, you look at the digitized era, you even look at MK9, MKX, MK11, MK1 looks so different to everything else. So a lot of people are stepping away. Does this mean that it's the end for Mortal Kombat? Of course not. It's still a juggernaut of a franchise. It's going to be around. There will be another Mortal Kombat game. But in the interest of not going down that same road, not that my voice is the loudest or that NRS is going to listen. Maybe they will, who knows? But I want to offer some ideas on what MK could do next. And I don't just want to talk about gameplay. I want to talk about everything. So this might be a long video, but I'm going to break it down step by step. So I hope you guys stick around for it. And at the end of the video, I'll have a small announcement. Some of you might have already seen it on Twitter, but if not, stick around for that. So without further ado, let's begin the video. I'm going to give you my opinions on where I think the next game should be. Now then, I've reinstalled Mortal Kombat X to show you guys what I'm talking about. Now, obviously, I know that this game is not going to be for everyone, but the reason that I'm showing Mortal Kombat X here, the reason that we're going with this game is that this is the second most successful Mortal Kombat game of all time. It's only like 2 or 3 million copies shy of Mortal Kombat 11, and I really think that MKX helped Mortal Kombat 11 earn a lot of goodwill with the community. When we were going into MK11, we were very, very high off of MKX, and I honestly think this was the game that people really thought to themselves, okay, NRS have got something special here. We're going to continue with this framework. Obviously, that didn't happen. Now, I'm going to start with this, you know, main menu screen here. And as I said, MKX is not going to be for everyone. The reason for that is because NRS have split the community themselves. You've got MK9, MKX, which I think most people can agree the MK9 crowd kind of moved into MKX. MKX also outsold MK9, and it wasn't even close. So I think, you know, a lot of people might say, oh, you know, MK9 is the one that we want to go back to. I would go with MKX just because, as far as I'm aware of the community, at least here in the UK, a lot of them just migrate over and they were very happy to migrate over. This is the most beloved of the new era, and it's the second most successful one, not that far behind what MK11 did, and obviously MK11 got a lot of backlash. So yes, the communities are split. The idea here is to try and bring everyone together, and I think this is the best one to start with. So to begin, you've got the faction war page here, and you've got, you know, everything that they had going on there. And I had no issues with the faction war. I felt like there was something you could really do with that. Maybe it could tie into more things that you can do online. The faction war section of this, not too fussed about. Having the invasion tower and the war tower and the invasion boss, that's all fine. Don't think it's massive points that I want to stick on too long. What I do want to focus on here is obviously the main parts here. Obviously the story. Now, the story of Mortal Kombat has taken an ugly turn. I think most people can agree. It started off on an okay track in Mortal Kombat 1 and it devolved into madness with the multiverse thing. And I think everybody is just over the multiverse stuff. It's tired, it's contrived, it's boring. And we kind of miss what Mortal Kombat used to be. It doesn't have that same feeling. It doesn't have that same aesthetic. And I think the story mode, what they need to do with it, and I know this is not going to be a favorable option for everyone. They need to, I don't want to say another reset. I feel like they need to go back. So at the end of Armageddon, we know because of Mortal Kombat 9 that Shao Kahn won. I think you go back and you do a little bit of a retcon. Obviously, in that game, everyone was slaughtered, and Raiden was the last one there, and Shao Kahn's about to win. I think maybe the only way to really fix this situation is to, I guess you gotta retcon it again and not slaughter everybody. So when Shao Kahn is beating up Raiden, instead of him going in for the kill, because in Mortal Kombat 9, when he goes in for the kill, it zooms into the past and we don't actually see him kill Raiden. Maybe you can do something that, I know this is going to sound really stupid, but they've reset the timeline so many times, and Mortal Kombat 9 at the beginning is our original timeline, the one that we really liked. So look, we've already seen the dumbness in Tekken with Heihachi falling off the volcano. We've come to accept it. I don't want to reset the timeline again. Maybe you have someone block the hammer. I don't know, someone was alive. Liu Kang. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. Like I want to go back to the original timeline, because the original timeline was the best timeline. It had the iconic characters, and I think retconning it again is not a good idea. So I would do that at the story mode. I would go back to that point with the next Mortal Kombat game. The fans are not stupid. People know how to use the internet. They will familiarize themselves with what's going on. And if you tell a good story moving forward, they will be like, okay, whatever, you know, it was a bit funny getting there, but whatever. I guess people are going to be like, well, what's going on with the MK1 timeline? They've created too many timelines and too many messes that I'm just like, it's too much of a mess now. Do we reset it again? And if we reset again, do we have to do the Mortal Kombat 1 tournament all over again? The original Mortal Kombat 1 tournament? No, obviously we don't want to do that. So I think we already had lore there. Let's just retcon it. Let's go back. Let's fix it. That's what I'll do story mode. The towers, got no issue with towers being there. You know, I don't play towers. I'll leave this to somebody else. But the towers can be there. There's no issue with them. Single fight, test your luck, training mode. These are all kind of givens in a fighting game. Well, test your luck is Mortal Kombat's gimmick, but it's kind of a given to have it there. Test your luck, or test your might, or test your sight, or all these kinds of mini games within the test your series, I think should be there. And then obviously in the 2-player section, you've got run-of-the-mill stuff here. And I think one thing that Mortal Kombat has been lacking is its like goofy modes from the 3D era. People really like those. So you had chess combat, you had combat kart, or whatever it was called, Dragon Kart, no, that's Yakuza. Whatever it was called, you know what I'm talking about. You had the weird Tetris thing as well. Like, they need to bring back some sort of fun game mode. Now, you don't need to put 3 in there. Maybe you can do updates with new ones, but when you're launching the game, I think there should be a fun mode. If you look at other games that are really successful, that don't just focus on their story elements or the serious side, but they also have fun mini or sub-stories or whatever, you just look at the Yakuza series. Take a page out of their book. They have so many cool sub-mini things around for, like, when you don't want to play the main story. You could do something like that with Mortal Kombat. I mean, we've seen the comedic side of Mortal Kombat back in the day. You could do a cooking mini game, you know, cooking with Scorpion. That was always a funny thing back in the day in the 3D ones. If you did some sort of cooking mini game with Scorpion, then I think maybe that could probably do well. You could also bring back some of the old modes where you were doing the racing, or you're doing the chess combat. Chess combat was a really popular one. So there's things to do there. There's single player modes. Obviously, you have arcade mode. You have your endings. Animate the endings this time. I don't like all of that. Just the artwork, it's a little bit annoying. So animate those endings. You can keep them canon. I don't have any issue with endings being canon. It's, you know, it's a nice change, I guess, because you get all of these endings and they're all over the place. So that's a good thing. Personally speaking, I don't think you do a 2v2 mode. The reason I'm saying that is that I don't want to stretch them too thin. I'm trying to be realistic about this. Because in 2v2, you have different applications. Obviously, 2v2 was popular in MK9. What I would do instead is do team battle. So allow me to pick Sub-Zero and Scorpion on the same team, but have it in the KOF style, where when one character dies, you replenish maybe a little bit of health, and your next character comes in to start the new fight, rather than doing 2v2 and switching out. That way you don't have to worry about a whole other game mode, and you can actually probably run that in tournament and have 2v2 without it impeding too many things in the tournament. You can even have that online. I just think that would create less problems. Standard offline modes like time attack and survival, I think, should be there. Those are very bog standard things that Mortal Kombat should have. What I do want to talk about before I go into the combat is that the general aesthetic of this game, I think, was pretty good. It's a very beautiful looking game. In my opinion, this is the best looking Mortal Kombat game. That might be controversial to some, or you might disagree, but the reason I'm saying that is that when you actually go into the fight, as a matter of fact, rather than me talking, I'll show you. I do want to acknowledge that even the character select screen is very beautiful. Like, I like how Scorpion looks very, very intimidating there. In MK1, he doesn't have that flair anymore. He doesn't look, I know he's not the same Scorpion. This is obviously Hanzo Hasashi. In Mortal Kombat 1, it's Kuai Lang, but this is Scorpion. This is Scorpion to me. I don't know what that is in Mortal Kombat 1. That's a bastardized version of the character. This is Scorpion to me. So, you know, you pick the character. Obviously, I used Inferno, so I'll be using that one to demonstrate. Sub-Zero, again, looks super cool. This is a very, very cool character select screen. One thing I will say is that this game lacks good music. You really do need to up your game with the music. Good music in a fighting game goes a very, very long way. The music in Mortal Kombat's been very disappointing for a very long time. The digitized versions, MK1 to UMK3, even MK4, and the 3D ones all featured good music. MK9 did, and then after MK9, that was it. It's like they stopped caring. So you really do need to fix up your music, like really come out with the bangers. Look at what people liked. Go on YouTube and look at the views of the old music in Mortal Kombat and just be like, okay, cool, this is what people like. It's really not hard to please people. And you hear that all the time, oh, you know, these fans don't know what they want. I know exactly what I want. That's why I'm outlining it here. Now, this is why I say this game is the most beautiful Mortal Kombat game. It still has that dark, gritty feel, but just look at it. Like, the character models are bigger. They look more menacing. It looks like shit's about to go down. Just the general aesthetic of this, to me, is like, when I saw MKX, I was like, wow, this is the next step. And then when you walk up to somebody and you slap them one, those effects, like, you can hear it. You can hear the impact, right? The sound effects in this game are leaps and bounds. And when you do combos on people, I'll see if I can even remember a combo. It's been so long. Oh, I dropped it right at the end. But you get my point. Like, it's a very beautiful game. It, like, the impact when you're kicking somebody or you're punching them, it feels very like, you know, that shit hurt. In MK1, it doesn't feel like that. It feels like you're sort of tapping each other, like, which is weird because this is meant to be the most violent video game or most violent fighting game. I also really like the stage interactors. I really like the way they utilized them in this game. I think they did a really good job. Even the throws, you know, everything feels very impactful. Even when you do X-rays, they're very impactful. MK1's super moves, they're not bad. They're not bad. Some of them are very cool to look at, but they don't have that oomph, you know. And maybe you're thinking to yourself, oh, Mike, this is a bad example because this stage in particular is beautiful. It's not just that stage. You can go to any stage in this game and it looks fantastic. Look how good this stage looks. Like, it's so full of life and it looks very dark and gritty and it fits that horror aesthetic that Mortal Kombat has always been known for. That very like supernatural, you know, kind of scary aesthetic. I believe you could even use the interactables to fake people. No, you could. Maybe I can't remember. But anyway, the aesthetic in this game is beautiful. I really think they had something special here. Now, what I would say is that the only thing is that I think the atmosphere in the digitized Mortal Kombat games was better. And I think if they translated that into this, it would be incredible. Even the 3D era games, the atmosphere in those games, it was really cool, and I don't really know what happened. I also think variations is a good thing to bring back. I think MKX did a pretty good job of it. Now, getting variations correct is very difficult because sometimes you end up like creating a variation that's too powerful and does too much. And that's a balancing and a design issue, and that takes a lot of work and craft, but I think they did a very good job in this. Like with Scorpion, for example, I only know how to use this variation. What's it called again? Did I pick ninjutsu? Or did I pick the wrong variation? Or even ninjutsu. Ninjutsu fits Scorpion because he's a ninja, right? It makes complete sense. So ninjutsu, this taps into one of his fighting styles. You've also got Hellfire as well. I don't know how to use this fighting style at all, but this fighting style was super popular with people. He's using his fire to chip away at you at times. And then you've got Inferno, where he summons minions from hell, which makes sense again because Scorpion Hanzo Hasashi is from the Netherrealm. After he was murdered, that's why he spent most of his time pissed off. So the characters' fighting styles express their personalities in this game. It's not just Scorpion, it's loads of characters in this game. Their personalities are really expressed in their fighting styles. The roster's not bad in this game, but the roster in MK1 is actually good. The problem with the MK1 roster is something that Brusque Poet was speaking about. They brought back our fan favorites from the 3D era, great, and they changed them all. So really, they're just a skin. It's just a skin of a character that I used to know. So you didn't bring back my characters. You brought them back in name, but they don't behave like they used to. Obviously, when a new universe, so all of their stories, they're gone. And the 3D era, you know, say whatever you want about it, they did a fantastic job in handling multiple stories without having them overlap with the main story. For example, Li Mei's story was really tragic in that game. You know, and I remember there was a part in her story where like her soul was trapped into the Dragon King's army, into one of the undead members of the army. And there were loads of stories like that where they were doing their own thing. So we came to love these characters in the 3D era, and then you brought them out in MK1 and they were different characters. So you brought our characters back, but you didn't bring our characters back. And I'm glad that Bros Poet brought that up, because I remember I brought that up to somebody else and they were like, oh, you're just complaining. No, it's just that I'm not blind. You know, there's a lot of people, I don't mean this in a rude way, where you can give them something and they're just cool with it. I'm not one of those people. So when I saw the 3D era characters in MK1, I was like, oh, great. But a lot of the MK1 players that I've spoken to about this are new players, and so they're just seeing the 3D era characters and they're hearing people from the 3D era complaining, and they're like, what are you complaining about? They brought your characters back. They brought them back in name. A lot of them are not the same. They're very, very different characters. But this game just feels so good. Like I almost want to jump back into it and learn all my stuff again. Hey, I remembered. Anyway, I'm not gonna spend too much time, you know, doing combos again. It's been a long time, but the game is so gorgeous looking. You might be thinking again, Mike, you're using specific stages. Why don't we just go random? Now, this was a randomly selected stage as well. This stage is very full of life, in my opinion. You know, there's good stage interactables. They look very, very impactful. You know, like even in the corner, we've got a stage interactable here. Believe you can, yeah, there you go. Only from one side. It's a gorgeous looking stage. Anyway, enough about the stages. One thing I do want to talk about is what's on the stages. Now, I like the fact that MKX had certain parts of the stage where you could interact with and smack your opponent around the face. For example, I thought that was very cool. Now, that only did 13%. It's not overbearing. It doesn't overwhelm the game. You know, there's stage interactables in this that they don't overwhelm the game. You don't feel like they are dictating the game, and if I end up on this side of the stage, I'm screwed. Also, as far as I can remember, you can block them in this. I'm not going to test it because I can't bother, but as far as I can remember, you can block them in this, so it's not like, oh, they're unblockables as well. They were really, really well done. I was very, very impressed with how they were done. That one, you know, I think that did about 13% as well. So that they're not overbearing by any stretch of the imagination. One thing I think they should include is stage transitions. Now, stage transitions are not an Injustice thing. They were actually in Mortal Kombat in the digitized games. You could uppercut people and they'd fly onto another stage. Don't know why that's not a thing anymore. Mortal Kombat has so many cool things that they just leave on the wayside. That should be a thing. I should be able to kick somebody through a wall and we go into another stage. And again, it doesn't need to do a lot of damage, but it makes the fight more exciting. It makes it more explosive. Imagine Scorpion taking her face and ramming it through that wood over there, wherever you guys are looking over there, and there's just blood going everywhere, and I'm smashing her face through and we go to another stage, and it, you know, it does maybe 10%. It's not overbearing, but it looks great to watch. Imagine that on an Evo stage. Oh, he's doing this combo, blah blah blah, he's hit the stage interactable, he's smashing her face through a brick wall. Whoever it might be, it doesn't have to be Tiny, I've just picked her. It would look cool. Like, there's things you can do to make your game look more cinematic without it ruining the fight. The cinematics in Injustice were cool. Maybe some of them did too much damage. That's what I'm saying. Aesthetically, you can please people without ruining the gameplay. It's really not a hard concept to understand. I really don't understand how the developers keep on missing this. Also, a quick side note, down ones in this game were nowhere near as annoying as they are now. Their range is not insane, you know, it's decent, but I do not remember down ones being anywhere near as bad in this game. So whatever you've done to down ones in MK11 and MK1, please revert it. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. We've spoken about down ones before. They are dog shit. Now, as I said, the roster in this game is good. Mortal Kombat has got a massive roster of characters, but originally in this video I said let's go back to the MK9 opening and continue from there of the story. So you're going to look at a lot of characters that were in Armageddon and then carry them over. Now, that was most characters. I'm not saying get rid of the new characters that have popped up. You can write them into the story, but I think personally Mortal Kombat, with its gigantic roster of characters, should not be launching with anything less than 26 characters. That's what I thought about in my head. I thought you got to be a little bit bigger than Street Fighter. You don't have to be as big as Tekken. So 26 characters, I think that's a good number to, you know, launch a game with. I would not want a guest character, or I don't want overbearing guest characters. Now, MKX has very good guest characters. Jason Voorhees, you've got Alien, you've got Leatherface. Leatherface, questionable for me, questionable. But he was cool, he played really well. And Predator. These three I thought were really good because they're just killing machines, right? This guy doesn't stop. There's obviously Alien and Predator in the same game. That's fantastic. But I don't want guest characters to overwhelm Mortal Kombat anymore. I think this game got it right. You know, four guest characters might be pushing it. I might say three, maybe one every season or so. MK9 did a very good job with Kratos and Freddy Krueger. I thought those are actually really good inclusions, but not too much, man. MK1 went way too far. I know what people are gonna say. I've heard what Rufamonga said. They sell. Yeah, okay, cool, but you have to think about retention. You have to think about your core audience as well. If you make the gamers happy, they're gonna buy your game anyway. This game sold like hotcakes. So if you want to argue 4 guest characters in the game's entire lifespan, fine, no problem. But to begin with, I would launch the game with 1 guest character. Have 1 guest character, and then maybe in season 2 we can talk about more. I wouldn't go beyond that. I think you should really focus in on missing characters. There's a lot of characters to be desired in Mortal Kombat, and I think it's a shame that they throw the core audience under the bus in the pursuit of just chasing numbers when we already know Mortal Kombat is the biggest fighting game franchise of all time. It will do well. So we've spoken about the music, music lacking. I think you should look back on the digitized era and MK, Deadly Alliance, Deception, Armageddon. They had good music. MK9 as well had good music, but it's been sorely lacking. The framework that you would go with is MKX. This is the second highest selling Mortal Kombat game of all time, and I think the most beloved of the modern era, maybe close to MK9, but this game obliterated MK9 in sales, so I think it'd be safe to assume more people would find this game recognizable just based on scope. Don't mean to offend any MK9 diehards. I like the game as well, but I don't think it really comes close to MKX. What I would change with this, if we're going to use this as a framework, is I'd go back to the digitized era. That aesthetic in the digitized era, the supernatural looking stages and the very like horror theme, magic and how they depicted Outworld, I would go back to that with the general aesthetic of the game. Oh, and one other thing before I forget. When you open up a game, when you open up a fighting game, it is so nice to get an opening that is just, it captures your attention. Tekken does it, Soul Calibur used to do it, and you guys used to do it as well. And I don't know what happened. Deadly Alliance, Deception, and Armageddon have fantastic openings. Where did that all go? Just because you've got a big Netflix style story mode now does not mean that you neglect the opening part. Where the attract mode used to be. When I open Mortal Kombat, I want to be hit with something hype. Look at Shaolin Monks. Shaolin Monks opening cutscene is absolutely fantastic. You're locked in. After you see Shaolin Monks' cutscene, you're like, yeah, we're going right to the end. You need to do that. There's little things here and there that you need to focus on that really draws people into the product. Where this product is good, I do think it's lacking in content. I think it's lacking quite badly in content. So 26 characters, new opening movie when the game launches. Go back to MK9 and build off that story. Use the MKX framework. Fix your damn music. Goofy single player modes, maybe cooking with Scorpion, whatever it might be. Test your might, test your luck, test your sight. Those are all staples. Variations, bring them back. Convey the characters' personalities through the variations. You did a great job in this game with a lot of characters doing that. So it's not like you can't do it again. When someone hits somebody, I want to feel that impact. It's Mortal Kombat. Why are we tickling each other in MK1? Who wants to do that shit? Why does it sound like a gun is going off in Tekken 8, but in Mortal Kombat 1 it feels like I'm tickling someone? Like, come on, what are we doing here? In terms of the intricacies of the fight, I think that's a video I'll probably explore with someone like Tom Brady a little bit, so I have somebody to talk to about my views on that, because I don't want to make the video too long. But I do want to talk about the online now, because fighting games live and die by their online. Now, obviously, we expect the online to work well. I'm not going to talk about rollback too much. All of these things are a given. But when you go online, you expect there to be lobbies. You expect there to be a ranked mode. You expect there to be King of the Hill and, leaderboards and whatever. Those are all fine. Combat League, I feel like they should scrap that, if I'm being completely honest, and come up with something new. If it was me, I don't know if you guys ever played Super Street Fighter 4. It had Championship mode, or maybe the original Street Fighter 4. Championship mode was great. So maybe look at something like that. Put Mortal Kombat's own little twist on it. Nothing wrong with having a warrior shrine. As long as you launch that with the game, don't leave it blacked out for a year. People are expecting something extravagant. It's fine if you want to immortalize the top players every season, or whatever it is that you're doing with that. But just launch it with the game. That's not something to write home about. That should just be something in the game. It's not a massive deal. So those are my main thoughts with MKX. That's really what I'm looking forward to, and that's what I'm looking for in the next game. I'm looking for them to use the MKX framework, make the character models more big and more menacing, go back to what people love, not this bastardized version that you've given us. I know some people are willing to accept schlop, but the large majority of Mortal Kombat fans are obviously not willing to accept it, and that's why the game has been poorly received, and you've seen very big YouTubers like Brustpoint walking away from the game because it has nothing to offer them anymore. Go back to what people loved. Put your ideas aside. You know, if you have particular ideas of a character and where you think it's going to go and you've done it and people have said, no, we don't like it, please go back, then do that. Just listen to your consumers. I'm not saying that artists shouldn't be allowed to explore, but if you've already done something and people don't like it and there is something that is working, do the thing that works. Also, the costumes in this game and the costumes in the 3D games and in the digitized games are far better than what we've been getting. So the more simplistic designs, I'm for that. I don't mind you going crazy here and there, but MK1's costumes and MK11, they weren't hitting for me. You guys had great costumes in the 3D era. I think you need to look at some of that. Now, some of you are probably asking, well, ain't you a 3D guy, Mike? And I'm like, yeah, but objectively speaking, this is probably the game they should work from. This is the game people love the most. Again, second highest selling Mortal Kombat game, in my opinion, gameplay-wise, kind of unmatched. If this was at EVO, I think it would be celebrated this year. MK1 is going to get clowned, unfortunately. I think that it was kind of dumb to put MK1 there, considering the game might be dead and people love this game. So I would have said, put MKX in there, distance yourself from MK1, it's done, it happened, whatever. Now, I'm sure there's probably things I'm forgetting here and there. In terms of gameplay intricacies, again, that's a video that I'm going to do at a separate time because there's a lot to go over there. There is a lot, and I've written down a bunch of notes based off of the MKX framework and the MK9 framework and some things from the 3D era, although the 3D era is heavily broken. There's a couple things in there that I think could carry over and probably do wonders for Mortal Kombat if implemented correctly. So I'll talk about those in another video. But those are my ideas, guys. If I missed anything or anything that you guys think I didn't go over enough, please let me know in the comment section. But that's the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, what I was talking about at the beginning with a small announcement is that me and Tom Brady are going to be doing a podcast on my channel Thursday UK time. So apologies if you're watching this in the future. Obviously that won't apply to you, but if you see this video and you want to jump in and you want to challenge any of my points on MK1 or any of Tom Brady's, you're more than welcome to. I'm going to have anyone on. We're going to try and regulate it so that everyone gets to say their piece. Obviously, there's already been a lot of interest on Twitter, so I'm going to try to get as many people in as possible. If you've ever been to my live streams before, we speak to hundreds of people. So I'll try to get everybody in. Please don't feel offended if we get to the 50 or 60th person and we're deciding to close the live stream. But, you know, last time we did the Tekken one, there was a lot of people. So I'm going to try my best. It'll be on StreamYard, so I'll be able to send the link out to people. Like I said, I'll let anybody come on to say their points. I will say this though, please show Tom Brady the same level of respect that you show me. If anybody is being disrespectful to him, I will just kick you off and I'm not going to give you a warning. We as adults, you know, we're playing a video game and we're debating our ideas. If you just randomly start attacking the man, if I feel like it, I will just kick you off. So that's your one and only warning. There's no need to be disrespectful to him. I don't mind it if you're doing it to me, but show Tom the same level of respect that you do when you come to my live streams, and it's all good. We'll debate our points. You're more than happy to push back. You can even call the ideas dumb and stupid, but I don't want it to be too chaotic because obviously I'm doing it with somebody else. If it's against me, no problem. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys on Thursday, 7 p.m. UK time, whatever time that is in America, because I know most of you that watch this channel in America, and I'll catch you then.